So, welcome everybody. This is an amazing episode of Courage, Dear Heart. I'm joined by the wonderful Jack Pransky. Welcome, Jack.
Very great to be here.
Yes, and this is a very special episode because you said that you would come and talk to me and my podcast on the proviso that it was an open session and people could come and ask you questions. So that's why lots of people are here. We're going live in my Facebook community, the Freedom Group, and yeah, it's open. But my first question for you, Jack, this is a question I start all of my podcast sessions with, if I remember, is what does courage mean for you?
Courage. Courage is the ability to put yourself out there, even though in spite of any insecure thinking about it. So it's like an overcoming of fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say about
it. Pretty perfect. And what would you say fear is for people?
Fear is a thought, and it's a hugely powerful thought.
Mm.
It's a thought that kind of combines with our consciousness to give us a real feeling of it. So if we get a thought of fear, we will feel it to our bones, because that's the job of consciousness, is to make us feel it.
Yeah.
If it were just the thought of fear, it wouldn't have any effect on us whatsoever. But the fact that consciousness makes us feel it is, we can feel it so much that it can rule our lives. And sometimes it happens even with thoughts of fear that we don't realize that we're having. Thoughts that are like hidden in the background.
Yeah.
That call the shots, so to speak.
Yes, that's certainly been my experience, Jack. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, the places where I have fear in my life, if I don't realize that it's just thought, then it will really get to me, and I will lose my courage at those times. But if I realize that it's only a thought, and where does that thought come from? It's something that we inadvertently make up. So we are creating our own fear, and what we are creating is getting to us, and not allowing the free flow of our spiritual essence, so to speak, to come out for all the world to see, because it's being kind of hampered, held down, so to speak.
Mm. So there might be some people, I know there's lots of people who've heard you speak before, there's lots of people who are in my community, but I wondered if you could just speak to your understanding of the principles for anyone who might not understand what they are, because I have a big Facebook community. A lot of the women may have heard me talk about it but not quite understand, and you describe them so beautifully in a lot of your work, and you've written 11 books. Have I got that right?
Working on my 11th.
Oh, you're working on your 11th. Okay.
Well, the further I go on, and I'm getting on, the further I go on, the more simply I see the principles. So basically, I see the principles as meaning two things. Just two things, really. It's that whatever we think is what we are calling reality.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, whatever we see as reality is only our own thinking. And to really grasp that is life-changing.
Yes, it has been for
That
me.
the only reality we can ever know is what we have come up with in our thinking. So even though it looks like it's the outside world doing it to us, so, you know, people say things to us and, you know, we are in certain situations and we grow up in certain experiences and all that kind of stuff, it always gets filtered through our thinking. And so we can never get a pure experience from the outside world because it always comes to us through this veil of thinking that many times we're not even aware of.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing it means to me, and that is that anything we call our experience of life, or call reality, or our feelings, it's all our own thinking that we are inadvertently creating. It's very humbling to see that. Very humbling.
Yeah.
And the second thing is what I kind of alluded to before, in that at the essence of ourselves, like the purest part of ourselves, we are pure peace, pure love, and pure wisdom. Or it's like we're the pure, clear incubator from which wisdom springs. It doesn't come from us, it comes through us. And when our mind has cleared, or it gets quiet, we can hear what is always speaking to us. Wisdom is always speaking to us. We just can't hear it because the rest of our mind is so noisy.
Mm.
So we are really everything that we want in life. You know, I mean, some people will say, I want money, or, you know, lots of other things that people can come up with. But if you ask people, well, what will that give you? What will that give you? You know, it comes down to peace of mind. Or, you know, I want a relationship in my life. Well, what does that come down to? It comes down to love. And what do we want to be guided by in life? I mean, I'd rather be guided by wisdom as opposed to my crazy thinking.
Yeah, me too. That did me no good for many years.
Right.
So I'm going to open it up for questions. Does anyone have a question for Jack at all?
I hope there are a lot of questions out there, because that was the whole idea.
It was, but you know, people get very shy. Oh, Rebecca's got a question.
Great.
Rebecca, do you want to ask it on the chat, or do you want to unmute? I can't see you. Do you want to unmute and show your beautiful face?
Very kind.
There
yes,
you are.
hello, I'm here. Sorry.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hiya. Yeah, really interesting. And I'm basically going down an equation route. And I've just been working it through. So feeling equals thought plus consciousness. So therefore, thought could be feeling minus consciousness. And therefore, consciousness could be feeling minus thought. Does that make sense or not?
Oh, well, you might be thinking too much. I love the idea of simple equations, but sometimes it can, you know, people can get into their intellect when they look at them. So Say the first one again.
So it's the last one that I think works really well. It's the last one is consciousness equals feeling without thought. So when you're conscious.
Okay, let me time out there. There is no feeling without thought. There is no feeling without thought. Now that's so important because people don't realize this a lot. It's like, even if like yesterday evening, all the lights were off on the house when I had to go upstairs, and I was in the pitch blackness, and I thought I was on the top step, but really I was only on the second to the top step. And when I took the turn, I ran right into the wall, right into the corner of the wall, got myself right here. And so I got pain. Now you would think that that would have nothing to do with thought whatsoever. But if I didn't have a thought of pain, I wouldn't feel pain. I would just have a lump on my face, you know? And in fact, my uncle, may he rest in peace, he had no feeling in his hands. And so he used to amuse us kids by sticking his hand into practically boiling water and like pulling out something, because he couldn't feel anything in his hands. So one day he was trying to fix a window in the house that had one of those rope things that you open it with. And the window fell on his hands. He didn't feel anything, but he walked away and fainted. So we have to have a thought in order to experience even pain. And certainly when it comes to fear, you know, there's always a thought behind fear. We worry about something, there's always a thought behind worry. We get anxious, there's a thought behind that. We get angry, there's a thought behind that. You just can't get away from your thinking that's behind all these feelings that we have. So it was really good that you came up with that formula, so I could help explain it further.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did it make sense, Rebecca?
Yes, it did. I need to think about it a bit. But yes, I get the whole thought and feelings. You can't have a feeling if you haven't had a thought. And that means, can you control your feelings by controlling your thoughts, which is the next logical step. So therefore, it shows the importance of thought in physical reactions or verbal reactions.
Yeah, and what if it didn't have to do with controlling? So what if it was just enough to know that whatever we think is what we're going to get in the form of an experience, period. So there's nothing to do, you know, there's nothing to control. There's just a realizing that if we're having any kind of an experience, it must be coming from our own thinking. And we just have to decide whether we're satisfied with that for our lives, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you, Jack. So we've got 3 people with their hands up. So Staci, you are next, and Staci wants to stay just as an audio. So if you'd like to unmute, Staci, and ask your question, that would be amazing.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Staci.
Can you guys hear me? Because I don't know whether my internet's working very well.
We can hear you perfectly.
Excellent. Okay. Hi, Jack. I did mention it in the comments anyway. Absolutely love your accent. I need to live where you live, seriously.
And I love all of yours.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm not one of those people where, you know, I sit there, and that lady was amazing with working out formulas and stuff like that, but I'm so not one of those people at all. I'm very kind of get your hands dirty type of person. I'm very practical. I'm not a very theoretical person. But what would you say to the fact that, you know, you said about that everything is to do with your thinking and how you feel about things and stuff like that, but what would you say from experience of how do you deal with generally just overthinking everything all the time? What would you know, how would you deal with that? You know, if you have a day where you are just, you know, you struggle to kind of, you know, just let things go, move on or whatever, what is your kind of advice to a overthinker?
Well, it's a great question. But I wouldn't call it advice. I really don't give advice. But I would say that, because sometimes I get into overthinking mode too. And when you get into overthinking mode, it's really tough to let it go as long as we think that it's about reality, we're going to be stuck with our thinking. So the idea is to really ask ourselves, is this really true? Is this really reality here, or is it just something that we are coming up with by our own thinking? And if we can step back from it enough to ask ourselves that, odds are that we're going to come to the conclusion that it's not as much reality as we think it is. You know, it's you know, we've created this ourselves. So, and when you really see that, it's, excuse me, a lot tougher to hang on to the reality of it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that completely makes sense. Like you say, it's that sitting, I guess, like you said, sitting back and kind of, you know, like you said, it, at the end of the day, there is reality, and a lot of the stuff that we probably do every day is make stuff up ourselves in our own heads because we want it to be that way, or we want it to be true, or we want, you
I don't know about wanting, but
yeah, or just the negative side as well. Like you become in like a negative energy all the time, and you find it hard to come out of that overthinking of negative things and stuff like that. So yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, and so I see you with many dogs.
Yeah,
and,
bless them.
Yeah, and so you start overthinking, just surround yourself with those dogs and you'll stop.
Yeah, they're the things that get you through the day. I've got to say, if you don't have a dog, then you truly don't know how to deal with some of life, as they say. They definitely show you
the thing
how to
is,
live in the moment.
the thing is, it only looks like it's the dog doing it to you. You know, what really is doing it to you is when you're with your dogs, I'm guessing you feel love. I'm guessing you let go of a lot of stuff that's on your mind. You're just focused on being with and loving them, and you're forgetting about all of those things that you would be overthinking about.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
So it's not the dogs. The dogs are an excuse to stop thinking like that. And that's why we feel differently.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Jack.
You're welcome, Staci.
Thank you, Staci. I have Siri next, then Karine, then Chrissy. If anyone else wants to ask a question, please.
Love all these questions.
I know, it's amazing. Siri.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
So, okay. So, first of all, I just wanted to sort of like share this idea that I had. I was thinking about like how to sort of put into words that each person has their own kind of experience. And what came to me was like each person generally has like a phone, you know? And I was explaining this to my daughter, and I said, like, we all kind of have our own screen, and our own screen is like our reality. And then we have the CD or file or whatever, or the program that we're inserting it. And that's kind of our personal thought. And that's how we see our world. So that was just kind of something I thought was like a, I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I had thought of.
Did it help her to see what you were talking about?
It didn't. Yeah, it did and it didn't. And that's kind of the second thing that I wanted to get to, is that, like, I have so many people in my life that this doesn't help them at all. They don't understand, like, it doesn't, like, my daughter will tell me, okay, mommy, so I'm telling you, you have a, I don't know, a bill tomorrow, $500,000. And she's like, and you don't have $500,000. You're going to go to jail. She's like, and so that's how real and compelling it is to her, you know? And for example, like, my dad is another example of this. He's all kinds of background, but, you know, his parents were Holocaust survivors. He just has a learning disability, has just so many hard sort of things have happened to him. And he is just, I can't even put into words, like, the depression that he experiences. You know, he was by my house for a couple of weeks, and just seeing him on the couch, just in this, like, heap, was so hard. And it made me feel like it's almost like you can be privileged, you know, like, one person can get it and the other person can just be lost their entire life. I wonder what you can say to that, you know? And it's like, it's, you know, it was so interesting because I was so judgmental of him. What ended up happening is that because I couldn't afford the empathy, it was too much for me to see him suffer as much as he was. So I just kind of switched and saying, like, you know what, if you don't want to try, this was on my head, right? If you don't want to try, then that's, like, your problem and your concern, because just feeling for him truly was too expensive. And it was interesting because a couple of days later, I was in a very, very low mood. And I was like, wow, when you have this, it is so painful. It is so hard. It is so heavy. And I mean, I know when I was in a low mood a day or two later after he left, I mean, for me, at least, it felt impossible. It felt like there is no way in the world I could even see this as thought. This feels like death.
So
And
let
in
me,
the past,
yeah, let me speak to moods first, and then go to the $500,000 bill, and then go to your father.
Okey-dokey.
Moods are something that everybody gets.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was in a really low mood. So it's a good thing that we were doing this today instead of yesterday. But I know when I get into a low mood, I know that it's just a mood. And I know that it doesn't mean anything. And I know that it's going to pass. Because today I woke up, I was in a great mood. And so, you know, if you really get to see the kind of ebb and flow of moods, you know, they just come and go. And, you know, if we're really low, we don't want to take it too seriously. And if we're really high, we don't want to take it too seriously. And, you know, it's just allow them to flow. And if we do, we tend not to take so seriously what is what the thoughts in that mood are actually saying. Yeah, that's really important. So we're in a low mood. We know that our thoughts are saying these things, but it's just low mood thinking. That's all it is. It's not going to be there when our mood is better. And so why would we want to take seriously something that is going to change automatically when our mood is better? So that's one thing about moods. Now, the second thing is about a $500,000 bill that we are supposed to pay. We don't have the money. Well, the important thing is to see levels of consciousness. It's like there is it's almost like there's a ladder that goes from down into the earth and all the way up into the heavens, you could say.
Like Jacob's ladder.
Exactly like Jacob's ladder. In fact, that's what I really think Jacob's ladder was about. But
Right.
that's just me. But so something happens in the outside world. We get this bill. We can't afford to pay it.
Yeah.
There are thoughts that we can have about that situation that are on this entire continuum of levels of consciousness. Like we can have a thought that this is the end of my life.
Yeah.
We can have a thought that, okay, I'm going to jail. You know, we can have a thought that it'll work out. You know, it's like, and you end up landing on some level and you realize that it's not the bill that's $1 million and we don't have the money. It's what we make of it. Lately, I have discovered that there are only two things that are going on, and one is there's whatever is happening out there. So in this case, the bill, and we don't have the money. That's truth. That's real. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's everything else. And everything else is the meaning that we make of it for ourselves. And whatever meaning we make of it is our own thinking, and that's what is going to put us at a certain level of consciousness. And we're going to feel whatever that level of consciousness is. So it's the same thing with seeing your father in that state. Fact, father is in that state.
Yeah, on the couch crying.
On the couch crying, whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
That's a fact, okay? Everything else is the meaning that you make of it for your life. Everything else. So whether you get upset with him or whether your heart goes out to him, compassion-wise, or whether you're experiencing anger with him for not getting it together, or whether you're experiencing just love for him, you know, that's all the meaning that you make of it for your life. And that's all something that we inadvertently create. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess what's hard for me is that, you know, say someone like my dad or even my daughter, they don't seem to like get it, grasp it. It just, you know, and I end up feeling like a broken record, you know.
Well, when we hear a broken record, we tend to not want to listen to it anymore.
100%. No, so I don't just keep talking and talking. I don't do that, you know, anymore. I'm not, because I obviously want to be helpful, but it just seems like for some people it's like they get it, and some people it just,
well, you know,
zip zero.
I decided that whether other people get it or not is none of my business.
Okay.
And I'm in the business. Even though I'm in the business, it's none of my business. Because really, the only thing that counts is whether I see it myself.
Okay.
So I have a general, you know, there's something like my understanding is kind of in the back of my head. And I'll go in and out in the moment of you know, seeing it more than at other times.
Yeah.
And in any moment, I'm going to be either seeing it or not. And I need to realize that that's what I've got to take care of.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to worry about anybody else.
Okay.
I want to take care of that. So if I'm finding myself getting upset with my daughter or my father, or, you know, I want to check in with myself, you know, what's going on here? Am I seeing reality or am I seeing my thinking? And that's what'll end up making the difference.
Okay.
Now, if your daughter asks you, I mean, I would use that example, you know, that she brought
You
up.
have a daughter? You have a
Yes, I
daughter
do,
or
but
son?
she's grown up.
So when she was suffering,
But there's another example. She had blown out her knee skiing at the beginning of the skiing season.
okay.
And she just had her second knee operation.
Wow. Okay.
And so she's lying in bed, and she also has a 3-year-old kid who's like running all over the place and has no concept of staying away from a knee because he could hurt
Yeah,
him. He's jumping like constantly.
of course.
So, you know, once again, it's separating out what's truth and what's fact from everything else. So what's true is she broke her leg.
Okay.
What's true is she just got an operation.
Mm-hmm.
What's true is she can't put weight on it for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everything else about the meaning that she makes of it for her life, that's her.
Okay.
You know, some people would say, when my knee gets better, I'm never going skiing again.
Oh yeah.
Some people would say, oh God, my life is over. I can't do anything. Some people would push it way to the limit and overdo it. You know, all of that is different thinking about it.
Mhm.
So again, it's where we come down on levels of consciousness.
Thank you,
you.
Siri. I'm going
Thank
to, we've got a few hands up, so I hope it's okay to move on. Thank you, though. That was a lovely, very important question, I think, as well.
Yeah, it was.
Karin, you are next.
Thanks, Charlie. Hello, Jack. Lovely to meet you.
Hello, Karin.
I can see you now. So the 3 Ps have been absolutely transformational for me because I know Charlie knows only too well. I used to have debilitating anxiety and would spend my whole time, in quote marks, managing my anxiety. And then because of the 3 Ps, I don't have anxiety anymore. It's been quite transformational for me. And I think there's a book entitled something like "Why Didn't Somebody Tell Me This?" or what?
Yeah,
You know.
I wrote that.
Oh my goodness!
Somebody should have told us.
Yeah, okay. You know the book then? Oh,
I do. I know it
didn't
pretty well.
Apologies. An excellent book, I'm sure you'll find.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So sometimes because I've been aware of the 3 Ps for about 4 or 5 years. And sometimes I've become angry. Like, why didn't somebody tell me this? Why didn't I know this before? Why have I suffered for so long with anxiety and depression and PTSD and whatever other labels have been stuck on me? Anyway, I know that's just a thought, and I'm just really glad to have discovered it when I did. So it's quite a simple question, really. It is, does the inside out understanding get taught in US schools? That's my question.
What's the question again?
Does the 3 Ps, the inside out understanding, does it get taught in the US education system?
Yes, it does. There's a curriculum. First of all, I wrote a curriculum like years and years and years ago, but and that was called Healthy Thinking, Feeling, and Doing from the Inside Out. But that was early in my understanding, and now there's a much better one called I forget what it's called, but I'll send it to Charli and she can send it out.
The Spark.
The Spark Initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Spark Initiative. And And then there's one in the UK, which is, what's that one called?
I Heart with Terry
iHeart.
Rubenstein.
Yeah. So those are two really good curricula. And I think there's been some research that has gone along with them now that has shown it to be effective. And so that's really encouraging. The way that the three principles spread in general is one person at a time, very slowly. But like you, once it takes hold in somebody, it really sticks. So it's not something that like has it's not like you throw this general blanket out in the world, and like some things that really make a big splash and then like they're gone. This has staying power because it really, once it changes a life, it's really hard for that person to just say that it, to put it aside and go on to something else. It's really made a huge difference in somebody's life. And then they're going to want to, once they start living their life through those eyes, they want to give it away to other people. Hopefully without beating people over the head with it.
Oh, is that okay, Karen? Did you have any other?
No, that's great. Thank you. I've just got 2 quick points if I can. First of all, I know Dr. Amy Johnson speaks about, when you were talking about moods earlier on, Jack, I know Amy Johnson speaks about moods passing through us. And so when I am in a low mood, I find that really helpful because it's like energy passing through, and the energy will come and go. And so there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So I find that concept that low moods, high moods are just energy passing through us. I love that. And then the second thing, when you were referring to dogs, when you were speaking to Staci, because I've got 2 dogs as well. And again, if I'm in a low mood and it seems persistent, I'll either just see how they're acting and think I should act more like them. Or I think of the Bob Marley song, 3 Little Birds, don't worry about a thing because every little thing going to be all right. And I just think, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's actually a good example of it's whatever works for people. And different things work for different people. And some people are going to hear it through a song. Some people are going to realize it through dogs. Some people are going to realize it through a great metaphor like Amy Johnson was using. But not everybody who hears that same thing is going to catch on with that, because we're all different. And it really has nothing to do with that stuff from the outside world. It has to do with what we have an insight about from our own understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something that grabs that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Simone, you're next.
Hello, thank you. Hello, Jack. What I wanted to ask was, I heard you say, if I'm wrong, that you can't have feeling without thought. And I assume that's on an emotional level, but can that also be true on a physical level if you're experiencing long-term pain, long-term nausea? How much do your thoughts control your physical ailments?
Great question. And I am going to refer you to a book that I did not write, but it's a book called Painless. And it was written by Hannah Stutley. And it's a novel, so it's a good read as well. And it deals with people who are in chronic pain. And it shows through the book that the more we think about the pain, the more we are going to experience the pain. And so when we are able to take our minds off the pain tends to either go away in some cases or have less of a grip on us. But I just recommend, I really can't do it justice, and I would recommend reading that book and experiencing it that way.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll have a look at that book, definitely.
Okay, great. Hannah will
Thank you.
Thanks, Simone. Chrissy, you are next. If you'd like to unmute.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hey. So you kind of answered, I had a couple of questions. You kind of answered them slightly. One was around feeling stuck and irritated by life, and if you had any words of kind of wisdom about what you would do around that, if you feel. I'm talking from personal experience about feeling quite stuck.
Is that happening right now?
Yeah. So feeling quite stuck about what to do next in life. So it's kind of, I've been around the principles for a few years, so I'm not making it mean anything, but I just wish some motivation would come in.
Well, you are making it mean something.
Okay.
You're making it mean stuck.
Okay.
You know, and to realize that stuck is not a permanent condition.
Mm-hmm.
It really is coming from the way we happen to be thinking about it. But there may be some thoughts that you're not aware that you're having that are really making it be so powerful in your life right now. Now, I mean, we could, I'm kind of torn right now because I know that in order for me to really help you with this, I would have to go into deep listening mode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you would have to tell me like what specifically is going on with you, and then I would hope that something occurs to me to say to you that would be helpful. But without that, just speaking in general terms, I'm not sure how helpful I could be, and I don't know that you'd want to like have an open coaching session or counseling session here in front of everybody. So
I don't mind if it's helpful. It's not, but it's up to, I don't want to take up lots of time for people who've got other questions.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I wonder about.
Well, we've got 15 minutes left, and we've got three questions.
Yeah, and I kind of no. I mean, I just maybe just have a little bit more.
Chrissy, I'm happy to coach you live on the group if you're up.
Okay, brilliant. And I just had I hope it's okay for me to bring my other question, which is around so there's a lot around somatic experiences and holding on to childhood trauma within the body and the memories. So personally, from my own recovery from a difficult childhood, I had PTSD, which the three principles has really just grounded me, and I wouldn't diagnose myself in that way anymore. But I'm just very interested in the movement around plant-based medicine and how it works within the within thought understanding about how you cellularly hold on to things within your body.
Well, we will hold on to things in our body and feel it in our cells as long as we have the thinking, that not even that we're conscious of thinking, as long as we have the thinking that it is that what happened to us is really serious. Now, I'm not, by serious, I'm not meaning to minimize it at all.
No,
Because
no.
sometimes what people have gone through are just horrific things.
Mm.
But the fact is that it's not still happening, is it?
No, it's not still happening.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
not
so
at all.
just that fact,
Mm.
oh, this is not still happening, but I'm holding on to it as if it is still happening.
Mm.
And as long as I am holding on to it in whatever way, it is going to like get into the cells of my body. But if I have a really new insight about it, like for example, oh, it really isn't happening now. Oh, it's over. There's nothing that it could have done to me permanently that I'm not doing to myself now. I mean, that's an example of something that could be a huge insight if it was, and if it was, it could like go boom, and it would go poof, because the cells won't hang on to it if there's not thinking to support it. It almost like cleanses the body that way.
Okay.
But I'm talking about a really huge insight that really makes a shift.
Yeah. I haven't had that drop in, so yeah.
Well, I would recommend that book Painless to you too,
Okay.
about that.
Mm. Yeah, I think I know it's thinking around. I'm separating out the body from the thought processes, I think.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
forget, stuff with the body is the same thing.
Okay.
There's what has happened in the outside world,
Mm.
and there's what we make of it with our thinking.
Yeah.
And when we can really ask ourselves, okay, what is the truth here? What exactly is it that actually happened?
Mm.
And know that everything else, we're going to end up on one of those levels of consciousness. And if we're stuck, it's going to be a real low level,
Mm.
which can change with the next thought, next big thought.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks, Chrissy. Sorry, I was muted there. Thank you, lovely. Mac Pal, I'm sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong. Oh, hello.
Hi there. Hi. No, it's exactly right. Makpal, thanks.
Oh, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for opportunity. Hi, Jack. Hi, Charli, and everyone. A little bit nervous here. I'm trying to see if I can formulate my question, if I can articulate my question rather, right? Please bear with me for a second. So my question is around identity, right? Or what we believe ourselves as, right? So you know how, Jack, you there is outside truth, right? There is outside truth and say event, right?
Yeah.
For instance, like, yeah, there is event, right? So this is the truth. And then, yeah, we assign meaning, right? Like then my thinking kind of switches on, and then what I'm thinking about it, or what I make out of it. And then this is what this is what trips us sometimes, or what gives us energy, etc. But what I'm struggling with, for instance, I'm just going to give an example because it's easier. For instance, say I haven't been able to lose weight, for instance, right? I mean, I've lost in the past, and then, I was, for instance, like I was eating healthy at some point, but now I'm not eating healthy. What trips me is that I have so much proof of me not getting where I want. And that's why, it's so true to me, right? And then, so I'm struggling in those kind of cases when I see myself that, no, I mean, I can say myself that, I can tell myself that, no, this time is going to be for real or something, but it trips me, right? I'm getting kind of rather stuck in that identity that I have so much proof for. And then I'm realizing, well, this is who I am. This is who I'm making myself be. I am that person who doesn't exercise regularly. I'm that person who does that. So I'm getting a little bit confused here, Jack, with kind of relating the identity, right, of who I'm thinking I am, and all of that philosophy. I don't know if you,
I think I've got it. And if I don't, you'll tell me. So let me first say that I hate to keep recommending books, but especially my own, but Seduced by Consciousness, which I wrote, has 2 chapters in it that deal with food and weight. And so I would recommend reading those 2 things. The second thing is that food is a great example of what I was talking about before, because food is something that exists in the outside world. Like it's out there, you know, it's either on a plate or in a box or, you know, on the stove or whatever it is. It's whatever it is, that's there. That's real. But then we come along with our thinking. And we make meaning of that food for ourselves. So when we realize that, like one of those examples in the book that I told you about was this woman was a lot heavier than she wanted to be. And one day she just got this little, she described it as this little tiny thought that she knew that all this sweet stuff that she loved to eat was in her cupboard. And she realized that if she didn't think about it, it wouldn't exist. Like it doesn't exist except as it comes through our own thinking. Like otherwise it wouldn't exist for us. I know it's there, but it wouldn't exist for us if it doesn't come through our own thinking. Now, that's something to reflect on, I'll tell you. And it doesn't have to do just with food. I was actually in the middle of a coaching session with somebody a couple of weeks ago. And all of a sudden, and she was complaining about being in a household where everybody was yelling, and she just has to live with this all the time, and it was really hard for her. And all of a sudden it occurred to me, what if they didn't exist? The only way that she can experience people yelling is if she has a thought about people yelling and what that means for her. So she doesn't take them in purely, as I was saying. She takes it in through her own thinking, and it means something to her. And usually it means like, oh, this is horrible, I can't stand this anymore, But it could mean, that's just them, it has nothing to do with me. That's just one example. It could mean, my heart goes out to them because they can't help themselves. It's equal possibilities. And there's so many more. And it's the same thing with food. It's just like the only thing about weight that is true is that we get on the scale and we weigh a certain number of pounds. That's the only truth to it. Other than that, we're making up everything else about it.
Yeah, I see that.
Now, some people get on a scale and they use it as a self-monitoring mechanism. Other people get on a scale and they say, oh my God, I can't deal with this, So it's like, this is part of what we're just inadvertently making up for ourselves.
Oh, Sandra, you're on. Sorry. That is an excellent answer, Jack. And Macpal, that a lot of the work that I do, I don't know if you've come through my group, but a lot of the work that I do is around that specific area as well. So stick with it if you're new, because it will start to make sense.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think it will resonate with a lot of people. Jack, we are nearing the end, and there were a few other questions, but I, as you know, I need to go, and actually I do want to talk to you at the end when everyone's gone. So as a final words of wisdom, I mean, you might have some just on the cusp of your tongue, but if I were to ask you a question, what words would you give to someone who was feeling hopeless?
There are two things to me that give automatic hope. And one is that thinking changes.
Yeah.
And it changes on its own. And we don't have to do anything for it to change. So we can be feeling hopeless one moment. Like for example, I had a friend who he's old now, and everybody that he loved has died. And he is like, and he used to be like so full of life, but he had pretty much like lost all hope and had given up on life. And he's up in Vermont, and I'm not right now, but I went up to Vermont recently, and I was talking to somebody who knows him. I was asking how he was doing. He's doing great. He's in this I don't know if it's a nursing home or something like that, some kind of a home. And he used to be this big rock and roll guy, and he used to teach the history of rock and roll, and he loved it. And now he's teaching all of these people in the home about rock and roll, and he's having a wonderful time. Now, how did that happen? How do you go from hopeless with just giving up on life to suddenly a year later being in a wonderful state? It's because something shifted, or his thinking shifted, I should say. Yeah. So automatic hope. We can be in the depths of despair and we can get a new thought. The other thing is that this spiritual essence inside ourselves of peace, love, and wisdom never goes away. It can't be stomped out. It's only like being inadvertently, that we can have the illusion of it being covered up by our own thinking.
Yeah.
That could be realized at any moment. And then suddenly it's out there for everybody to see. So that's automatic hope too.
Yes. Guys, we're going to have to bring it to a close. Jack, you have been wonderful. As always, I'm deeply, deeply grateful for you and your presence and your agreement to come and answer questions on my podcast. And yeah, thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much. The hour flew.
It always does, listening to you, Jack. And I would just like to add, yeah, all of his books, go read them. Jack, if you could stay on, guys, I'm going to ask you to vacate and I'm going to turn the recording off. But thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your questions. I'm sorry we didn't get time to get to them all, but you can ask me anytime. And Jack's on Facebook. Lots of love, guys. You stay there, Jack. Take care. Bye.
Take care, everybody.